so if I'm going to video this, I should probably start. Now, it's a shame I didn't start 2 days ago because it was caked in bird shit, and it actually looks considerably better now than it did. So I've just convinced some friends of mine to buy this. Would have bought it myself otherwise, to be honest, but yeah, no money to be spending. So it's kind of an unusual conversion. It's got a little mushroom pop top. Also has a bulkhead and a double front seat, and what it has is a little cooker sink unit. Probably have a picture of that, I'll throw it in here. And then full width rock and roll bed. It's had the hatch raised at some point. I'm guessing the van was a petrol, I believe, and at some point it got maybe a Nissan diesel or something, but now it's got a 1.6 T25 engine in it. Was that KX, KY? Can't remember. We are going to put a 1.9 1Y in it for the time being. This van's been parked for I think since 2009. So rather than freshen up that engine, I picked up a 1Y and we're going to stick a 1Y straight in. So rather than, instead of doing timing belts, filters, etc. on that one, just straight to the other one. Now, this van looks somewhat of a pig's ear, but the rear valance is very bad. Usual rust on the quarters, and it's had some terrible windows put in up here at some point. And they've glued or welded a sheet of metal across there. Looks like it was hacked out with a jigsaw, and stuck it over all this and filled over it all. So we're going to put glass in here anyway. And that side there has been metal added along here at some point. And then dented again after that. But underneath, this is nothing like our one was. It's actually all rust free. Sills and everything are all perfect. Wheel arches are perfect right up into the beneath there. They're all the original wheel arches on it. All this is good. That bottom panel needs changing, but it's not the end of the world. One wrong wheel on it there. Even this, I may straighten this out again and just change the base of that panel. Boot lid's the usual, 3 spots of rust on it. Sliding door hinges, doing that thing where it flips around, so I don't want to be sliding that more than I have to. And a bit of guttering gone along there as well. There's a sunroof in it, but I think we're converting this to a high top. No, we are converting this to a high top. The little mushroom roof works well. I'll pop that up and show you. Yeah, it's a funny little roof, but it gives you all the space you need to stand up. Now I do actually quite like it, but yeah, the high roof, I really do like the high roofs, and they are a family of 4, so this is kind of limited. Now I think the setup in here kind of worked, because you had the full width bed, you had a seat here which could turn into a double seat, and then you put your table in. But again, no walk through, and I think the pivoting passenger seat is a great addition to any van. It just opens up the space a lot more. I think this would have worked very nicely as kind of a little day van, but a high roof will open it up quite a lot to them, and get rid of those little windows and get some glass in there and stuff as well. And we're going to take out that raised hatch and put the hatch back down where it's supposed to be, because we don't need that to be like that. Now when I was doing ours, I opted for the AHU as opposed to as doing an upright engine, like maybe doing a PD conversion, or even going for the upright adapter plate when I'd done the Passat box, to avoid having to do this. But it didn't actually bother me, and that's the way I was going to do it. And I've actually decided since, I was watching a guy who was doing a whole load of PD conversions in the US, just cut a little box on top of that, and I thought it's actually a way better idea to have a little box just where you need the height here, because why raise the whole hatch? It's just losing loads of space as opposed to one little part, and you know, you get the original hatch sealing down and everything the other way. I kind of prefer the other idea actually. Anyway, for now I'm just hacking out this bulkhead. There we go. Let's open that right up. And the hatch is back where it should be as well. Now, this project's going to be going kind of on the back burner. I'm just working away a little bit on it here and there for now, because I've got another one that I've got to get done first. So, yeah, we'll come back to it sooner or later. Hi everyone, welcome back. Just making a little start here on this green van. It's still summer, so I'm not really getting stuck into it that much yet, but just kind of trying to make a bit of headway on the bodywork and the welding and stuff, because I'm hoping to possibly spray this before the weather gets really cold. So again, I'm not in a great place for painting them. I have plans, but they aren't ready yet. So yeah, I'll just go through a few bits I'm doing on this. It's a little bit different than what we did on ours. Structurally, it's quite a good van. It's just had a few nasty bits done over the years, and there's the usual bits and pieces that need touching up on all of these. Later on, we're actually changing this to, I think we're going to put a one-way in it. I'm going to look at an AAZ soon as well, but I think the one-way is going into this one. So a straight 1.9 diesel. It had a straight 1.6 diesel, which seemed to be starting and running fine, but the van's been parked since 2007, 2008. So rather than refreshing that one, you know, belts, filters, all that stuff, getting it up and running again, we'll put all that money into the newer engine and go with that. It has a 5-speed box in it and stuff already, so that's pretty handy. But let's take a look. Now, one completely unsalvageable part of this van was the rear valance. So we've got that entirely cut out now. The owners took out the engine and gearbox to save me a bit of time, and they've stripped all the wiring away from the engine compartment and stuff and given it a wire brushing so that, yeah, so we can get on with it. So I'm going to, or I have just put a little bit of rust treatment on some of those patches. They're only surface rust, but we're trying to get them clear. And I'm going to paint that now very shortly. Actually going to take out the engine bars. This van's had, I think it started life as a petrol, later had a Nissan or some other type of upright diesel in it, and then later got a T25 set up, so these bolts are all a bit crap, and obviously there's big chunks of metal missing out of here, so I'm going to weld in some plates there. Engine bay, I don't know what people's views are on it. I'd like the idea of stone chipping it and then spraying it the body colour. I'm kind of okay with what you see on a lot of American things where the engine bay is kind of a satin black or something like that and not the body colour. But this engine bay is quite tidy. I know stone chip is essentially covering stuff up, but it seems to make sense to me in a bay like that. So I don't know, I think we're going to go ahead. It won't be caking it in the stuff. I might thin it down a bit even, but I think it's a nice tough coating for around in an engine bay. The rear valance, I didn't film any cutting that out, was completely rotten. So they're basically just spot welded all along this piece here, and again all along the top there. So not the end of the world to get out. I kind of chopped it out in pieces and broke away the spot welds. As you can see, it needs a patch welding in here and another patch welding in on that side. The rear pockets in here are okay, except on this side where there's I've cut away a bit of rust out of there. It's nothing like our van was. Also, I'm going to cut the bottom section off of here because just this layering, it's easier to just replace this bit of metal with something fresh and then put the rear corners in, new rear corners. The old ones are actually okay, but I'm going to change them anyway. the wheel arch. I'm not changing this quarter panel because the replacements aren't nearly as good as what this is. And as you can see here, inside is actually, the top of the wheel arch is still good. So I think that's a very good way of checking these vans, if there's holes up inside the arch, or if it's had a quarter panel put on in any form of dodgy way. It probably won't look great in there, so it's nice to see this part good. The other quarter panel on the other side will need doing because it's a mess. The other thing that needs to be checked quite a lot is that if there's holes through here or around here, I gather a lot of rubbish in over these rear suspension hangers, and they'll fail your MOTs and stuff for you then. The first video of the T25 project, I was replacing one of those, so you could look at that if that's what you need to do. Now this had some weird stuff done up here. This had been replaced kind of in with a thicker piece of steel at some stage. What I think they did is they stuck a sheet all the way over this whole thing and spot welded it over. So you can see I've cut sections out here and broken it off. And that came all the way down and turned out here. And then there was a hard edge along here. And this had been dented in and filled, but all that filler was coming out. And yeah, this is no good. And again, there was this small window up here. I'm just cutting it away now to try and take it out of it. But they put it, obviously put the sheet of metal up against this body line here and then filled it over because it's missing all the way along there. So I've got to try and, might end up cutting all of that out and making a new window frame around it. I mean, this is the original panel here, and then this has been filled onto it. As you can see, that's about the bottom of the other piece, but how much damage it's done to the panel behind, I'm not sure. We're changing this to rear windows anyway, so that's not as much of a problem as here is. Now this section I've put in is the top of a sliding door. I bought a sliding door and it actually came in really handy for a lot of bits and pieces of metal, handles, locks, etc. But I'm using it for this. Now it was a factory window van piece, so it would have had the recessed windows, which I'm just going to cut away, and that seems to work out about right for our new window frame for the aftermarket windows. Again, I'll have to do something here because I think this has been cut back too far, and yeah, this is obviously a little short, so I'll cut this off here again and I'll extend that up and finish that off later, but that's how I'm going to repair the top of that. The center of the panel's okay, and then the bottom down here, this was gone all along where it meets the sill as such, as they usually are. All these vans I have here are all rotten along there. So this is looking at the inside of the inner sill. Cab floor, I cut back a small section there. It was just rusty on top of this, and there was a couple of rust holes along here, so we're going to be replacing that. But it's all nice and clean. The inner sill is good. Got all that cut out, cleaned up, and weld primer on it all. Needs a little bit of building up there, and I want to try and clean out that pocket in there because that's where all that dirt gathers and rots that out. So I'll get this cleaned out before I weld in a piece. So that's what I'm at. I'm going to carry on and weld in that lower section now, or get it tacked in place anyway. Start making it look a little better. This section here is going to get cut out after. As you can see, it's rotten all the way through. That's where that panel meets this section in here, and that's all gone pretty crusty along there. It's a bit of a nuisance, but I'll sort it out. This is the replacement sill section. This is nicer than the one I got for our van. Our van was just basically a flat piece of metal. This is more put together in the original way. I didn't realise this when I've done our one. So that's your outer sill section, and then you've got this. Now ours, that was completely missed, that just didn't have that. It was just one piece of metal and it didn't have any returns on it when I got it. I think there were only a few quid of a difference in price, but this is a much better panel. It also, when you weld your floor over against this, so I obviously had spot welds coming through all the way out here, which then I had to do all the bodywork on. Shouldn't be a problem on this. So I'm going to fit that in place and see what it looks like. Okay, so I must say this seems like a really nice fitting panel. The only thing I'm going to do here now is I'm going to trim this panel down to this line, and I'm going to cut this line here back a little, so that I just have a slight overlap on that edge there, and then but it fits in really, really nice into that, so that's great. So we'll go ahead and cut those and tack it in. Okay, so that's all that in place. I'll be adding away tacks to that for the rest of the day, maybe the next day, just a little bit here and there, try and keep it nice and cool and straight. I'll give you one look inside. So that's what we have here. And we have this slip here now as well for the floor to go out and sit onto, which was, yeah, didn't have in ours, just had to sit it against that and weld it, tack it all along there, so this panel's a lot nicer like that. That's pretty straightforward in there, it's just a flat piece of metal. So I'm just going to see about getting those patches done outside and maybe getting that rear valance kind of mocked up. Just finishing up for today now. Added a load of tacks to that all the way along. And there's a few spots. And each side there had a patch put in, including the bit inside there. And here I just cut out the bars and I've plated that, just put a bit of 2mm steel in there, welded it all the way around, and I'll weld on some captive nuts and those bars can come back up onto that, but I'll weld in captive nuts because I think these bars we're going to take off, clean up, paint and bolt them back in, but won't be able to get access to this once the rear panel is on, and probably going to go ahead and fit the rear panel tomorrow at some stage. But yeah, it's a nice step forward that I wasn't really planning on getting done, but anyway. Okay, here we are, 2 months later. Still haven't got that tacked on. I wasn't expecting to be able to stay at it, so been busy with other things. I had a AAZ conversion to do for someone, which was kind of short notice because their engine went kaput. So I was doing that, and while we were set up for it, as soon as that went, we thought we'd get this this 1.91Y set up for this. So that's pretty much ready to go now. I've got to just blank off that EGR place there because the 1.6 manifold had a crack on it. Timing belt done, rear main seal done, water pump thermostat, all the usual stuff. just the general maintenance stuff. Looks like a really, really clean engine. Yeah, so I'm going to get this valance tacked on, paint this engine bay, and we're going to drop all that back in so that the van's mobile to bring out of there. The owners have already really taken all the interior out of it. Ignore that seat, they're too high. We've got back glass for it, and we have another van outside to take a high roof off of. So the pop top's been removed, and the aim now is to get this thing completely ready for paint. Painting all the inside as well, so plenty to do. Right, so I'm going to get this video up. It's been sitting in my laptop for ages, so I want to get it done. All these other projects that are going on around here, I'll do a little video about what's happening with all of them, because there's a whole bunch of stuff. But this van has priority at the moment, so I want to get this one done. It won't be as detailed a thing as say our yellow van, but you know, we'll go through bits and pieces anyway. And the other ones are all a little bit different, so there'll be a bit of different stuff. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Cheers.